Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Tai'Shar Manethrin, a Wheel of Time podcast. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, by the way. I'm Will.
I'm Sam.
And we're just slogging along at the bottom of the beautiful briny. Yeah, comment if you know what Disney movie that is in reference to. I'd actually be a little impressed. It's not a very well-known one.
I don't know.
Yeah. So we're on chapter 37. Sam's got us this round. So why don't you take it away, Sam?
Absolutely. We're going to finish this book, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally going to finish this book. So,
hooray.
Chapter 37, A Note from the Palace. We're going to start off our final episode with a skip chapter. Chip Scapter.
Oh, yeah, it's a Chip Scapter.
That's right.
That swarthy little Chip Scapter.
So Matt runs through the palace, the Terrazin Palace, day after the Festival of Birds, and is jumping at shadows, because of Tai'Shar.
Right.
6 coaches are waiting at the outer gates. Matt meets up with Nalesian, Vannon, the Red Arms, Elaine, the Kin. Elaine is telling Mistress Corley that the other Aes Sedai aren't going to go with them because their ageless faces would attract attention in the Rahad.
Right. Wrong side of town.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You got to, roll up them windows. Yeah.
Rihanna asks why Marililla thinks they are lying. Elaine says, well, it's because no Aes Sedai, since the breaking has lived as long as all of you in the knitting circle, a lot of you. In Rihanna's case, not by over 100 years. Matt thinks the whole discussion is idiotic because everybody knows Aes Sedai live a long time. He asks Elaine where everybody is, so they can get a move on and he can get the heck away from Tai'Shar. Elaine says, they'll be along soon, but you don't have to come, Matt. Your soldiers will be enough bodyguard. And Matt is like, no, I'm going. Tom and Julian are helping Aviendha and Birgitta watch Caridan's palace. We really haven't seen Aviendha in a while. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
She's just, watching Caridan's palace.
Yeah.
And we're going to get that bowl and we're going to hightail it out of this town. No time for Caridan. That's what Matt says anyway. The Kin are mad at Matt for talking to Elaine that way, but she says, we can't leave until we find the bowl, Matt. Jeez. That could take a week or more. And Matt feels strangled and kind of starts to sound frantic. A week? He says, Elaine, you could use the bowl anywhere. Gawain must want you back as soon as possible. Before Elaine can respond, a woman in House Mitsubar livery brings Matt a picnic basket from Thailand. Picnic basket. Elaine asks, feel free to stay in the palace if you want. Have breakfast with Thailand.
Yeah.
To which Matt grabs the basket and flees to one of the coaches. The servant asks if all northern men are so shy. Matt jumps when he sees Besselin, who says he's coming with him to the Rahad to have some fun. Nalesian says, there better be fun because I didn't sleep much last night. Now you drag me off when there are sea folk women around. Apparently, Nynaeve brought a bunch of sea folk back to the palace last night. Just then, Nynaeve walks in on Lan's arm, and Lan joins Matt and Nalesian, etc., the coach. Matt says, where you been? Why are you letting Nynaeve order you around? Lan says, Nynaeve and I were wed last night by the mistress of ships. They have an unusual marriage customs that were surprises for both of us. Oh, do tell, Lan. All it does is smile.
That's just one of those funny, and that's Robert Jordan being Robert Jordan, where it's just like, hey, just use your imagination, man. Yeah.
Which is definitely, given how ham-fisted he is with like romantic dialogue, like, can you imagine if he went into detail about this kind of thing? Like, there are, Lord knows there are other authors who do that. One comes to mind, Peter F. Hamilton. He's a science fiction writer, and it's just like cringe-inducing. Like, what is happening? Why? So thank you, Robert Jordan, for not doing that. But Besselin murmurs the blessing of the light on you and your bride. Lan says Nynaeve doesn't want you to know, but the men you set to guard her were killed by Moghedien. Matt groans, those bloody flaming women. Lan says, you better not mean my wife, and grips his sword hilt. Oh, of course not. Just Elaine and the Kin. Yep, never Nynaeve. Matt breathes a sigh of relief when Land nods and relaxes, just as Beslin says, aren't you going to read my mother's note, Matt? The note says, I'm going to have your stuff moved to my apartment, so much more convenient. Seamstresses are going to come measure you because you need shorter coats and new breeches to show off your bottom. Who's the daughter of the 9 moons? Yeah, what? So Matt looks at the rest and says, the queen thinks I need new clothes, so I'm going to take a nap. Matt thinks between Moghedien and Tylan, he'd rather confront Moghedien, and he feels like crying. Matt.
Poor Matt.
Jeez, dude.
And again, it's like, is this supposed to be funny? Right. He feels like crying. Okay, well, yeah, because he was traumatized, but but it's almost like played for laughs still.
Yeah, and it's like, well, he gets back to like he's getting his comeuppance, I guess, for being a player or something.
Yeah, well, and I can get behind that to a degree. I do think it's important. I think it has the possibility of being funny. I think if you remove that one element,
yes,
we talked about it last time.
That happens in the television program when and if we get to this scene. Yes,
right.
That is very, very true. On to chapter 38, 6 stories. This is absolutely a read. This is a good one. This is a bit of a mini boss, if you will. Mm-hmm. So the coach reaches the river, and Matt laments that the basket Tylan sent is mainly full of raw oysters. Yeah, I love raw oysters personally. Mm-hmm. Anyway, everyone gets out, and Matt overhears Elaine say, but Nynaeve, if last night was as glorious as you say, how can you complain about? And then trails off when she sees the men. Nynaeve stutters to Lan, you must not think I would. Lan cuts her off and says, whatever you want to say in public, you can. May I escort you to the boat? Matt starts to admonish Nynaeve about keeping secrets when Elaine jabs a finger in his chest and says, Mistress Corley explained to me and Nynaeve about what the red flowers on that basket mean. Whatever promise I made to you is abolished. I won't keep promises to a man who forces it as attention on any woman, but especially a queen. So Matt shouts, me force my attentions on her. Or rather, he chokes it out. Pulls Elaine away and says, listen, she wouldn't take no for an answer. She laughed at me for saying no. She starved, bullied, and chased me down like a stag. She has more hands than any 6 women. Threatened to have serving women undress me if I didn't. Realizing what he says, Matt cuts off abruptly and mutters, you don't understand. You have it all backwards. So Elaine blushes and said, my bad. That's very bad of Tylan. Then she starts to laugh and says, if you considered practicing different smiles in a mirror. That's what young women do to attract the eyes of kings. Matt considers throwing his hat down and jumping up and down on it. So, but then he throws her off by trying to give Elaine the foxhead medallion. Says, I know Moghedien is in the city and I want you and Nynaeve to be protected. Says, you know what I would have done for this? And here you are just giving it to me.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Exactly. Gender bent Gandalf, minus the beard.
Either that or instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen. One of those.
True. Fair enough. That's also a scene. So Elaine says, nope, keep it. I can't have it if also Nynaeve doesn't have one. But Elaine feels bad now and apologizes for laughing at him. Sometimes I forget my duties to my subjects. You are a worthy subject, Matrim Cawthon. I will see that Nynaeve understands the right of you and Tylan. Maybe we can help. I don't know. That was my attempt at a Tricand accent.
It's funny how in the reading of the audiobook
will do it. He will.
Michael Kramer does a very heavy posh British accent. He
does, yeah. Whereas Kate Redding does not.
Right.
And it throws me off. Yeah. And it's like, what? Yeah. Is Gawain have an accent or does he not? I know he's kind of a jerk, but I can't tell what he sounds like.
Yeah. And it's just odd since everybody else has non-regional North American kind of
so true. Yeah, it's
accents.
Just the two of them. I don't even know if they do it for more gays. Which I guess, to be fair, it's probably fairly rare that Michael Kramer would be reading more gays.
That's true.
Maybe that's part of the reason we haven't. But yeah, that is a funny little factoid.
Yeah.
Matt says, no, I mean, kiss a flaming goat if I know what I mean. I wish you didn't know. Oh, sheep swallow. Sheep swallop. Did I miswrite that? I don't know. And bloody buttered onions. Elaine is, of course, paying very close attention to his cursing so she can memorize it. And they all get on boats. Matt and Beslin discuss the weather. Matt chokes on a crumb of cheese when Beslin says when Matt says The wheel weaves. Nalesian and Beslin commiserate. It will be a boring morning. Famous last words.
That's just like I've heard if you work in a hospital to never say it's quiet.
Oh yeah. That was a thing in restaurants too. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're gonna jinx it. Right. So no one gives them trouble in the Rahad, no matter how conspicuous the group is, because they have 7 red-belted wise women with them. And nobody's going to mess with those ladies. Men with scarred faces and murder in their eyes bow and ask if they can be of assistance. After walking a long way, they stop at a building with flaked plaster and crumbling brick. 6 stories, which Elaine says with great satisfaction. Nynaeve repeats it with a sigh, and Matt has no idea why. Yeah, okay, 6 stories. We know it's because Elaine and Nynaeve have been trying to find this place outside of Tel Ramiad for ages. Inside, a long hallway, carpeted with dust, runs to the back with a bunch of doorways on either side. Decent place for a mini boss fight, I think.
Right, yeah.
Picturing Scooby-Doo and Shaggy running back and forth across the hallway, chased by dark friends, you know. Matt says, maybe Moghedien likes back doors, and something chitters, and one of the men curses about rats. Nynaeve is mad. Lan told Matt about Moghedien killing his men, but then she denies being mad, fusses at Lan some until Matt says, blood and bloody ashes, nobody thinks you're angry, now can we get the bowl and get out of here? And then sudden Black Aja attack. The wise women try to curtsy to them. Elaine says, stop it. They're Black Aja. They have me shielded and they will kill you. Yeah, this is escalating quickly. The Blacks have brought some dark friends with them so we can have ourselves a real melee. Lan manages to tackle them, and then the fighting commences. Some dude tries to club Lan in the head, but Matt stabs him in the belly. Beslin, Nalesian, and the 5 Red Arms charge the Dark Friends while Nynaeve faces off against the Black Sisters. Snaps at the Wise Women again to fight. Says they're linked and I can't do it alone, otherwise they'll kill you. She looks at Matt and says there was channeling upstairs. Trouble. Go get them. We got this. Matt curses and runs up the 6 flights of stairs. Which is kind of a funny scene, you know, just like, oh, dang, another flight.
It could really, I mean, you could make this funny, like he runs up 1 flight, runs up 2 flights, and then like starts to slow down, and it's like, you know, it's like so many stairs.
Dang it. I think of Final Fantasy VII. So he gets up to the top. There isn't much light, just a single window at the end of the hallway. Women are sprawled everywhere, and Matt watches as a slender man in a gray coat snaps Janira's neck, whoever Janira is. Elaine is against one wall, eyes closed. Looks like she's maybe dead and or passed out, but I definitely think she's dead. But so he sort of shrieks and leaps at the man, who seems to flow in front of Mata Shandarai and flings him down the hall. Unfortunately, Nalesian appears at the top of the stairs, but the man tears his throat out. No, Nalesian! I mean, not a major character, but probably one of the most major to just die on screen like this. Haven't been that many of those, I would say. And have his throat torn out. Eesh.
Yikes.
No good. Should have stayed in bed after all.
Oh, yeah. Poor guy. I have a question here, by the way.
Please.
So you mentioned Matt's Ashandarai or Ashandarai, and did I miss it? Is it in this book? I
totally skipped it, I want to say. Birgitta tells him that's what it's called. I think I just didn't include that. And it was like a throwaway line where, he like talks about it and it says Birgitta says that's what it's called, which makes sense that she would know, you know?
Yeah.
Or it was like, even if she hadn't, I would have been okay with it if he had just remembered it from his memories, you know,
sure.
As a soldier, that would have made sense too. But yeah, that is in this book. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I missed that on every reading I've done of this so far, and I've been looking for it. I've been like,
oh, fair enough. I read it and I was like, should I include this? And I just forgot and didn't. And so I'm glad you brought it up. That's good.
Yes, there it is. All right.
So from henceforth, it shall be known as Ashandarai or Ashandari, whatever. Not just his spear thingy. It looks like is it Nagata? Nagi? There's a name for. There's like a Japanese weapon. Anyway, not important. That's what I picture when I think of it, not just a spear. Matt jumps on the man's back and stabs him 3 times, which does nothing, but his fox head medallion falls against the man's cheek, and that does do something. Burns and smoke rises from the edge like a sizzle from bacon frying. Gross. The man hurls Matt 10 paces away again, And this is just like Perrin in the Grand Hall. Can you imagine being thrown down a hallway like that? Like, oh my goodness. Matt just kind of jumps up like it's no big deal, but I would go to the hospital. There's no doubt.
you do have to kind of, chalk it up to Taviran a little bit that, maybe he
just
fell.
to be like a mattress against that wall.
Right. Yeah. Just the right way. So that,
exactly. Yeah.
He didn't get a concussion and multiple other contusions.
And then so Matt hops up, the man hurls Matt's knife back at him, which Matt just grabs out of the air. Jeez, dude, how do you do stuff like that without the power? Matt is a ninja, I've decided.
It's this supernatural luck.
Yeah. I mean, he meets. There's like a line in there about how Tom Maryland said he had really good hands for juggling, and so he just, So yeah, he can grab a knife that's being thrown at him, and sure, why not? I want to see that though. I want to see that, Rafe, if you're listening. I want to see that. Notices there's no blood on his dagger. Dang it. So stabbing the dude did nothing. But Matt notices Elaine move, but so does the man. Matt says, "You can't have her." He pulls the fox head out and starts spinning it on its cord. And the man doesn't like that. Runs into one of the rooms, slamming the door behind him. Matt kicks it in. There are no other exits, but the man is nowhere to be found. And I am saying man here. We have not yet found out who or what he is, although the name has come up, and we'll find out shortly. So,
yeah.
Elaine sits up and says the man knocked her out. She saw Matt's fight and says, "Thank you. I keep building up towards you. Toes, your toes. You're going to have to let me save you at least once to balance matters." Matt says, "I'll see what I can arrange." Elaine notices all the other women scattered on the floor, realizes they're beyond her ability to heal, and yells for Nynaeve, who says, "No need to shriek like a cat," as she walks up the stairs, but immediately starts healing those she can. Sumiko, one of the wise women, starts healing Rihanna. So, okay, let's be clear here. Who's Katsuwane's healer lady? Sumitsu?
Sumitsu, yeah.
Sumitsu is a healer. Sumeko is also a healer.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
Who, occur like 3 chapters apart, 2 chapters apart from one another.
Really good healers who are not cool, Robert Jordan.
Yeah.
Not cool. There's no way we're going to be able to keep these 2 people separate in our heads, but that's neither here nor...
Sumitsu, Marililla, Morel.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. So her way of healing, though, as one of the wise women, is to like wave her hands. Nynaeve's like, "What are you doing?" And then realizes she's healing and says, "You know some stuff I don't. Bene sisters will want to learn from you." So Nynaeve says, "Elaine, we got to find the bowl." They go find it in a closet. Beslin walks in and sighs when he sees Nalesian. Harnan says they walked into a group of shoulder thumpers with knives in the dark. One moved like a snake and got a knife in me. Next thing I remember is Nynaeve healing me. So Matt says, "All right, well, we got the bowl. Let's get the heck out of here." But Nynaeve and Elaine insist that everyone carry sacks full of stuff from the room down to the boat landing. No one argues because we're leaving.
And we got the bowl. We're going to have one heck of a fruit salad tonight.
Cornflakes, yep. Chapter 39, Promises to Keep. Also calling this a read. This could be a skim, but I still call it a read. It's still fun.
Yeah, sure.
We are bloody well getting out of here right now, Matt says to the Aes Sedai. "Are you blind or just deaf?" But the Aes Sedai have never heard of a golem before, so it must not exist. We've barely heard of a golem. They're like, "Wait, what did we miss?" I'm like turning back pages. Did we miss something? No, this is just one of those things where we're going to have it explained to us after it's been explained to the characters, which is not our normal situation,
Yeah.
So Matt says, "I saw it." Elaine saw it. The wise women saw it. They shrink back against the wall at this. Renail Din Colin Bluestar, a Windfinder, says, "No one doubts Elaine, but what's the danger? We don't want to leave the water without good reason." She has 20 Windfinders with her. Crowded room. They are not social distancing. Matt explains what Birgitta told him. Birgitta told him about this, just like as a Shandar, I suppose. Golem were created during the War of Power during the Age of Legends, made to assassinate Aes Sedai, or people who can channel. The one power won't touch them, and they can sense the ability to channel within 50 paces. They look like normal people on the outside, but they don't have any bones. Oh,
yikes.
Okay, yeah. They can squeeze under a door and are strong enough to rip a door off steel hinges with one hand.
This really, the first time we see this thing, squeeze under a door and reconstitute as a normal looking person, it should be
really disturbing.
Terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were 6 golem made, 3 male and 3 that appear female. Apparently they even made the Forsaken in easy, which is why they only have 6. One must have been kept alive since the breaking in a stasis box. And one of the Forsaken had to send him. Must have been sent for the bowl and maybe to kill Elaine and Nynaeve. So they know it's here. The golem comes here. You're all going to die. And we might lose the bowl. So we got to leave, take the bowl somewhere the golem doesn't know about. So Renail's sniff would have startled geese in the next room. That was a good one, RJ. I like that. She says Elaine saw a man, but little else. No one has heard of these things. What's a stasis box? How do you know this stuff? Why should we leave the water on a word of a man who creates fables from air? Matt looks at the Supergirls for help, finds none. He's like, I read a book once. Ronell says, no, I am not leaving because of a book you read. So Matt walks across a room and stands in front of Renee and says quietly, I know you can channel. I don't care. Renee looks at Nynaeve and says, there's no mention in our bargain of having to listen to this young oakum picker. Oh, she told him. Okay.
Oh, I just picture all the other wind finders doing the
right. But Matt does snap, even though, whatever. He says, I don't bloody care about your bargains with anyone else, you daughter of the sands. You think she wouldn't care? I mean, obviously she isn't the daughter of the sands, Matt. Jeez, aren't you paying attention? She's a sea folk. But apparently those were the magic words. If a girl... this reminds me, if a girl says on a first date, I tried meth once. Those are the magic words. Okay, I'm leaving. Not that ever happened to me or anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Matt remembers 1,000 years or more ago, a sea folk woman called a Shioten soldier, a son of the sands, before trying to knife him. So yeah, not a nice thing in their culture, still 1,000 years later. Man, how many insults have lasted 1,000 years, I mean, I guess calling somebody's mother whatever or something. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Daughter of the sands. Yeah.
Probably I do feel like your mom jokes have probably been around for about 1,000 years.
Elderberries, etc.
Yeah.
Anyway, Renee tries to knife him, but he grabs the knife out of her hands. Been doing that a lot lately. Shoves her back in the chair. Says some more stuff, presumably from his memories. Listen to me, Bilgestone. As far as you're concerned, I'm master of the blades, and my blades are bare. This is the bargain between you and me. You go where the Supergirls want, and in return, I won't tie the lot of you across horses like pack saddles and haul you there. Renale says, it is agreed under the light, and then gets that, oopsie, I didn't mean to say that face, kind of like the sea folk did with Rand a few chapters ago. Agreed, Matt says, and touches fingers to his lips and then to hers. She puts her knife away because it is not polite to kill someone you have just made a bargain with, at least until the terms are fulfilled. She says, I think I've just made a bargain with a Taviran. One day you will walk a rope for me. Matt thinks, yeah, it sounds unpleasant, but bows and says, all things are possible if it pleases the light. They start arguing now about, okay, where are we going to go? If we're all in agreement, we're going to go. And Rihanna says, not Renee, Rihanna. God, these names. Back to Rihanna Corley, the 400-year-old kinfolk lady. Let's just be clear about who we're talking about here.
All right.
She says, we've got a farm a few miles north. Yep, that'll work. Everyone leaves the room, and Elaine says, sorry we used you, Matt. Nynaeve says, what were you thinking trying to bully them? Matt says, what's life if you don't take chances every now and then? So on the way out, Tylan catches him and says, Nynaeve thinks your little boy needs protecting. I know you're a grown man. Matt says, if we meet again, next time I'll do the chasing. Matt. Tylan says, nope. And just the less said about that, the better. We run into Tom and Julian. Tom tosses Matt the ring he bought. Keeps coming back up. Signet ring he bought. Lopin asks if he can remain to see Elysian buried. Matt says, no, but I do need someone to help look after Oliver, and I wouldn't mind having a manservant because Niram will need to go back to Tomanis, so I could take you on. And Lupin says, I would like that very much. So Matt decides to go look for Oliver, go find him. But Oliver has vanished into the city, of course. Dang it, Oliver. We were almost out of here, man.
So close.
I just think it's all going to be nicely wrapped up, and this is going to be the end of our stay in Ibu Dar.
You know, indirectly, a lot of the A Path of Daggers, the most frustrating parts, could be blamed on Oliver because of this.
Yes. Oh man, that's so true. Just that whole book. We will get into it. So Matt sends the Supergirls, etc., onto the farm. He says, we're going to stay, find Oliver. The Red Arms are going to stay and look. Nynaeve says, remember, there's a storm coming. It will break soon. Why couldn't you have listened, Matt? Matt, the Red Arms, Tom Julin, all spread out, fan out in the city, looking for Oliver, who's wearing a red coat. Ask some people. No one's seen the kid. A few streets from the river, he hears booms like thunder. Heads out to the docks. Finds 2 or more dozen ships on fire in the bay. They're back. The Shan-Chan. Yay. Or I guess back again. We just saw them a few chapters ago with the White Cloaks, but they're back in our lives.
They're very back.
They're very back. Yeah,
they're especially back now.
Yeah. So some lady next to him understandably concludes it was Aes Sedai because of the channeling, but the children of the light will fight him. All the wrong conclusions. The children have their own Shan-Chan problem. We were just mentioning. Matt runs on yelling Oliver's name. Some soldiers show up and charge some Shan-Chan and a Soldam Damani pair. The street erupts, sending soldiers flying. The ground erupts again, and a brick wall starts to fall on Matt as he shouts, "What happened to my bloody luck?" And the dice stop dead in his head. And that's the end of Matt for this book.
That's where we leave him.
That's it. So we have to. It's really important that we check in with Galena. We're rocking the Casban again. Yeah. She's in the loving care of the Shido Wise Ones, who are making her run across a mountain with occasional beatings thrown in for good measure.
Sure. So
they take her to the Tharava and company, take her to the Shido tents where Savannah is waiting. Tells her it's been 9 days, even though it felt like a month or more to Galena. Savannah says, it seems Aes Sedai can lie. You made pledges and broke them. You think you can murder a wise one and then run beyond the reach of our spears? And Galena thinks, oh, you don't know about the Black Aja. Good. But be thankful some of you still live. But I could use some, help. And if you help me, you will be favored by the tower. But Savannah responds by saying, you are a Datsang, a despised one, we gather. 2 more wise ones say it. Then maidens stuff Galena in a scratchy black wool robe. So we switch to Savannah, who is watching the newly minted Datsang do useless tasks. Tharava's not happy. She wanted to break her, I guess. But, and
we all want that, really.
Yeah, exactly. Rial, I don't know. Says Savannah intends to break her. Anyway, a man's voice behind them says, if you want to make Aes Sedai obey you, this might help. It's our buddy Kadar, quote unquote, with Aisa carrying sacks. Hands her a rod, says, you might call it an oath rod. It came into my hands yesterday and I thought of you. You'll have to have Althor before I will give you what will control him. I brought as many Narbaha as I could find, enough to transport all of you by nightfall if you hurry. I would if I were you. Althor means to finish you, it seems. Clans are coming from the south and north with wise ones ready to channel. All 4 clans will be here today because they know how to travel. He says the Narbaha use Sidene and won't work for 3 days after each use. A gateway will open for a fixed time only. Savannah thinks maybe he's lying, but can't afford to take the risk that he isn't. Thinks he won't betray them as long as he hungers for the gold the Shido would give him. Man, that is some Elida level obliviousness there. Just not something the bro cares about. So we switch to a Shido named Merrick, frowning at a stone cube Kadar gave him. Hole in the air appeared when he pressed the red dot in the middle. His wife, Darrell, says it will only stay open for a short while, so he veils and jumps through, falls head over heels down a slope, and calls back, wife, there is a drop, which is kind of fun. His black eyes pour through 6,000. He's joined by men he does not trust, the Meriden, the brotherless. The hole snaps shut and slices through 10 of them. But his son and daughter had not made it through. We don't care because we don't know you, Merrick. Scouts come from every direction and tell him there are enemy Aiel headed straight for their position. He tells his wife she must be prepared to put on wife because she is roof mistress, and she touches his face. Scandalous, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He has 1,000 or so Shido, including the brotherless, so they charge west toward the closest and fewest enemies, singing Wash the Spears. Switch to Grendel, who is watching a gateway close behind the last of the Shido, the Jumai Shido. Tells Samael that sooner or later he's going to be too clever for his own good. A fool box? Suppose one of them understood. None did, of course. He sent some of the Shido ahead of Rand's army. The rest are scattered from Ilion to Gildan. All made to seem random, or like maybe Rand did it. Grendel says, "What happens if Rand comes after you?" And Samael laughs. No, that happen.
Dude, we've got, and he like opens up the book. He's like, "Oh dang, we only have like a chapter left."
Yeah. So switch to Shadar Haran, who apparently can distinguish Sidene and Sidar by smell. Sidene smells like the edge of a knife. Sidar smells like something soft, but like it would grow harder if pressed. Okay. What does that smell like? Okay. It observed that Samael is doing stuff outside the plan. If it serves chaos, great. If not, black flames dance down the spear Haran has picked up and turn it to ash. Shedda Haran feels weak from being away from Shale Gul for too long. It doesn't like this, but turns to look for an edge of shadow somewhere. The day is coming. It would come. Okay, Shedda Haran, thanks for that input. Chapter 41, A Crown of Swords. What have we been reading this whole time? Jeez. This one is a read, though, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Got to read this one.
Yeah, Rand's still passed out from his encounter with Put On Fane, so there's no way we're getting a boss fight, right? I mean, this is the last chapter after all, right?
Right. And it doesn't seem like it's been set up at all.
There's no way we can have a boss fight. Dude's passed out. So Rand wakes up to men yelling, "You'll kill him!" Amis says, "I think he's awake." Rand looks up and is surrounded by Aes Sedai and Wise Ones, plus some Ashaman. Rand asks, "Well, how long have I been asleep?" Fane's dagger came from Shadar Logoth, so how am I alive? I watched it kill a man in moments once, and it was really yucky. Katsue nods. "Oh yeah, that makes sense. You can thank Samitsu, Flynn, and Corell for the fact that you're alive. You've been out for 2 days, so yeah, you should probably eat something." Yes, Rand, you should eat something. What the heck, dude? You just had the equivalent of the demonic flu. Rand says, "I'm getting up," and everyone says, "Nope, you're not," and also you're naked. Rand gets up anyway, and Katsue says, "I should smack the stubborn boy's bottom." Corell says, "It's a pretty bottom." Rand sticks his head in a wardrobe so they don't see him blushing. They can still see the other end, though, dude. Put on some pants. Which he does, thankfully. Then he says, "Y'all get out. I need to talk to Deshiva and the rest of the Ashaman." Katsue says, "Don't do anything foolish, Rand." No way. Rand says, "I'll meet you guys in the anteroom. Need to put on my boots." When everyone leaves, Min tells him that she had a viewing about Katsue, that Rand and the Ashaman have to learn something from her, and they aren't going to like it. Honestly, Min, are your viewings ever actually useful? Ever? So they head out, and Rand finds out that the army has reached the hill forts in Ilion ahead of schedule. Eben and Adley have destroyed some palisades when they got there, even though Wyramon wanted to do it all himself. Then they felt Samael channeling, clearly as strong as Rand. Deshiva doesn't get it. As soon as Samael feels a man channeling, he'll head back to Ilion, where he has traps set for men who can channel. Adley says, "Well, we can save the army at least." Rand agrees, says, "You're going to help me kill Samael today." Deshiva looks startled. The rest just nod because not even the Forsaken frighten them anymore. Rand says, "Men, you're going to have to cover for us. No one can know we're leaving." She says, "You better not let anything happen to you or I'll give Katsue a hand," I guess paddling his bottom. Leaves, and Rand notices Deshiva checking her out. It's just a weird detail. And Deshiva kind of puts his hands up defensively, like, "Sorry." So Rand seizes Sidene, opens a gateway. They step through near Camelin at Bashir's army encampment. So this is the big play. Wyramon et al. We're just a feint. Bashir's folks are the ones that are going to take Ilion. And Rand tells Bashir, "No wives and no punch. Let's get a move on." So Bashir has created an army called the Legion of the Dragon, 15,000 strong. all wearing blue coats with dragons on the side. They carry crossbows, heavy shields. Rand weaves a gateway 4 paces by 4 and ties it off. The army begins to march right into the middle of the land, the square of Tamaz. Rand amplifies his voice with the power, I am the dragon reborn, and people run away. Bashir's army peels away in 3 columns and splits into smaller groups as planned. And they've practiced this, I guess. Rand weaves a smaller gateway directly into the palace. And RJ throws in this nugget. You don't need to know a place very well to travel if you only intend to go a short distance. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's cool. When it's convenient. It's just always been weird to me that you had to know where you were coming from really well, not where you were going. It's just always weird.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like just narratively it helps because it keeps it from being like, okay, why don't they just run away?
Full MacGuffin always. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Every time.
Yeah. It reminds me, like, every time, and this, I can't remember exactly where it comes up about people being unable to lift themselves with the power, but it really, that little factoid alone changes everything about the way like battles play out. And you see this compared to like, and I honestly think like some of Brandon Sanderson's later stuff was like in reaction, like he designed magic systems in reaction to this, like, you know, in his Way of Kings series, some of the coolest battle scenes or magic fights are way up in the clouds. Like, you know, they're like soaring, fighting up in the sky. And, you know, it just doesn't happen in these books because of that little, you can't lift yourself with the power, even though like seeing them in the sky overfall and that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's just one of those things that just like you have to have something like traveling. You don't have to, but it kind of makes up for that a little bit. You know, you can kind of have people move fast through, you know, move from one place to another fast. But anyway, it's something I was thinking about the other day that it makes for a very different battle system, magic system than other things because of that little fact. Anyway.
Yeah.
Rand figures he has triggered every single ward in the city by channeling a ton when they got there, basically. That Samael set to let him know if a man is channeling. So they're useless now because apparently that type of ward has to be remade once triggered. So that's kind of smart. Yeah. So then Rand told the Ashaman to stop channeling after that and not to channel anymore, so that he can detect Samael channeling. From Luz Theron, Rand knows that Samael will come. That is, if Luz Theron is real and that Rand isn't depending on his own crazy thoughts. So it starts to get dark, and Samael still hasn't showed up, and Rand wonders if he was wrong. Then he senses a man channeling, felt like enough for a gateway coming from the Great Hall of the Council. Rand channels a gateway and heads there. There's a wash of fire and earth, and Rand is knocked down. Hundreds of red filaments burned down from the ceiling where he was standing. They're like these flaming wires. So Rand starts to weave balefire, then stops remembering Katsuwain's words. So instead, he weaves what Samael did, the burning wires thingy. So Samael flees. Rand limps after him thanks to the burning wire foot. Samael yells, Ilion belongs to me. I won't destroy what belongs to me, killing you, and I won't let you destroy it either. Do you have the nerve to follow me again? So Rand sees the traces of a gateway and follows it to Shadar Logoth. Dang it, here again. I guess it's a different milieu for a boss fight. Sure, okay.
Yeah, Shadar Logoth it's a little bit like the Tatooine Wheel of Time. You just gotta keep coming back to it.
Yep. That's how it goes. So as he runs away from where he stepped through the gateway, lightning strikes. He sees a shadowed figure dart across the way in the darkness and nearly channels, but knows it's not Samael, so he doesn't. Mashadar shows up, so Rand thinks, I should leave. I mean, surely Samael didn't hang around. Then he sees 2 Trollocs getting attacked by Leah, the Aiel maiden he left for dead the last time he was here. So he shouts her name, but she's gone full Gollum, and it kind of hisses, mine! Rand says, you know me. Let me take you back to your spear sister. She recognizes him, weeps, and flees. So no way he's leaving her here a second time. Mashadar, no. He limps after her and bumps into a Murdral. So
I'm just saying,
that.
I'm just saying, Rand, from personal experience, if a girl cries and runs away from you, just let her go.
Yeah, that's generally a good call, I would say. Yeah. Yep. So he has to kill a Murdral and some Trolloc cronies. In so doing, though, he channels, which alerts Samael to his presence, so lightning strikes, knocks him down, and the Sidene flees from him, tries to run away, and then falls almost through a floor that gives way. About to fall all the way when a man grabs his hand and says, "You're a fool. Count yourself lucky I don't care to see you die today." Why don't you, though? Pulls Rand up, and Rand can see he's a big fellow, a little older than he is, with black hair and a black coat. Rand has never seen him before. At first, until that line, I honestly thought it was Logain.
Right.
I don't know why, just like the black hair, broad shoulders. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned this. It may have been in the spoiler section in another, but this was just totally confusing to me.
Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah,
and
absolutely is.
Because I mean, like, okay, so it's Moradin.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
and that's pretty clear to us. It generally at this point. I mean, maybe it isn't super clear to a first time reader, but
right. But I'm just saying,
Rand definitely doesn't know. But
exactly.
Robert Jordan expects that we should know, that understand that. I would say is a fair thing to say.
And I, on my first read through, did not know
because
that's who it was.
Does not make sense.
And I mean, especially because he says, "I don't care to see you die today." I was like, well, anyway.
Yeah.
It was just confusing, nothing but confusing to me. And I also felt like Jordan was going almost out of his way to obscure who it was in some ways, so that it wasn't clear to Rand.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So that it would remain a mystery to him. Like you say, I think he's trying to get us to realize, oh, this is the guy Moradin that earlier, and anyway,
I do have one or two more thoughts about this in the spoiler section that I would like to. Yeah, we will readjust. Rand's like, "Who are you?" Man says, "I'm a wanderer passing through Shadar Logoth." Oh, sure, yeah. Conversation stops when they see a wave of Mashadar washing towards them. So both of them weave balefire to kill it. I guess it's only okay to use balefire on demon fog. But oh no, don't cross the streams. Yep, they do. Everything is doubled for a second. Mashadar is gone at least. They run, and Rand asks again, "Are you one of Taim's men? If not, you can go to the Black Tower to train. You don't have to live in fear of Aes Sedai." The other man laughs and says, "He's never been afraid of Aes Sedai. You should really leave now, but if you intend to kill Samael, you need to think like him." And then he says, "You have shown that you can," which I guess should be I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Samael always liked destroying a man in sight of one of that man's triumphs. Lacking that, somewhere the man had marked as his own would do. So Rand says, "He's waiting near the waygate with trap set." Yeah, that's it. So the man walks away and Rand starts to follow, but he's vanished. Rand didn't feel Sidene channeled either. No residue from a gateway or anything. We know it's Moradin who's channeling the true power. That's what's up. So Rand goes to the courtyard where the waygate is, finds a standing tower, climbs to the top. There he sees Samael waiting for Rand to step into his traps. But Mashadar is oozing out of the windows and merges together as a wave descending towards Samael. And Rand starts to weave balefire because he says, "Samael is mine." But then he hears Leah scream, and he sees Mashadar touch her leg and knows that means she's done. So he points the balefire at her instead. Then, screaming, he swings the bar of balefire across the square towards Samael, but lets it go when he sees a lake of Mashadar down there. So no way Samael survived it. Rand would have felt Sidene being channeled if he had escaped via gateway, and Samael is dead, in what might be the least satisfying ending for one of the Forsaken. And I Googled it. RJ confirmed that dude was never meant to have secretly survived or anything. He is just dead. That's just the way it is. It's like,
yeah.
Not very satisfying, but okay.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So Rand skims back to Ilion, and the city is theirs. They win. The Council of 9 or 8 is now waiting for him. Dude says, Lord Bryn is nowhere to be found. And Rand says he won't be. A man named Gregorin Din Lucianos says, "We do offer you Ilion. We offer you the crown." Rand asks, why would Matin Stepaneos give it up? King Matin disappeared 2 days ago. Bryn probably killed him, we're thinking. Rand's like, okay, sure, but why would you offer me the crown? But apparently, partly because the grain that he ordered Tyr to ship from Ilion that they kept doing, and so many Ilioners would be dead without that from starvation. So they think he's great. So
Wow.
Rand sets the circle of laurel leaves on his head. All hail Rand al'Thor, king of the world. That has a good sound to it, Rand thinks. And then we get a little paragraph. The story changes as it spread, and then they say, oh, this is what happened. No, this is what happened, etc., etc. But the one thing that remained constant is that the name have changed from the laurel crown of Ilion to the crown of swords. Also, the storm is coming from the south. And that's the end of Crown of Swords.
Oh man!
Now aptly named, I suppose.
I can't believe it. We made it.
We slogged through at least this book.
Yeah, and this one is actually one of the better ones.
Yeah, that's true. This is the least sloggy, perhaps, until the slog is over. Yep.
Yeah, I think you do have some people that actually say this one isn't even actually part of the slog. But I'm like, no, yeah, it's definitely in there.
Yeah, there's definitely enough parts that are like, oh, is this not over yet?
Right.
Even though the payoff is great, it's like, was it worth it to get here?
Yeah.
This could have been a novella.
So we've got some spoilers to talk about. So if you do not want to be spoiled, then just go ahead and leave right now and catch us next week. And we'll see you then with what will probably be a update on the show. We'll see.
Yeah, that's true. We're due for one of those. Good point. So, yes, I'd like to get back to our buddy Moradin. So I was just going to say, it seems like throughout this book, Robert Jordan was setting Moradin against the other Forsaken to some degree. It's like the Great Lord of the Dark was not satisfied with the job they were doing. So, brought Ishmael back from the dead as Moradin is like, all right, kind of observe what's happening. And, there's like hints that he wants to keep Rand alive as an agent of chaos, maybe. All that's well and good. That makes sense to me that might be the reason Moradin is doing what he's doing. Except for the fact that Moradin was really, in his previous life as Ishmael, was really obsessed with killing Rand. Really obsessed with that. And Rand's the reason he died. So how on earth, maybe it's just that he's so enraptured with channeling the true power and being back on the planet as a Forsaken that he's just willing to put that aside. But man, that's a heck of a leap. I mean, it really is from this dude from Bazamon who pretended to be the Dark One and, like all that cloak and dagger stuff to I'm going to help you kill Samael, or save you from falling into a, broken house and Shadar Logoth and whatever. I don't know. Just kind of, it seemed like a leap to me.
Yeah. It doesn't make much.
It doesn't. It's why, and that's the reason that it's like, yes, it should be clear to us that this is Moradin, but especially to a first time reader, it makes sense they would not get that. And I didn't my first time for sure. So anyway, that's just amusing, I guess. Just confusing, but
you're right. Well, I mean, we've talked about this. I don't quite understand why we're keeping it a secret that Moradin is Shamael, and I mean, I do get Rand not recognizing him, Rand not knowing who he is. I get that.
Yeah.
But why we as the reader can't know everything at this point or haven't, don't yet know everything. It just creates confusion.
Right. When you have so many characters being thrown at you at once, it's like, come on, man. You got to help us out a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Well, thanks for joining us. If you heard anything that didn't sound quite right, we'd like to hear about it. So whether you've got corrections or suggestions or just thoughts about the books, or you just want to insult us or whatever, you can send all that to stuff@tsmpodcast.com via email, and we'll cover them in an upcoming episode. Hey, if you've got a YouTube account, do us a favor and go follow us on YouTube. We're 1/4 of the way to getting our own URL, which is actually kind of sad because that's not many people at all. But hey, if everybody who has a YouTube account did that, we'd have it like tomorrow. So
right. We just aren't too much on that. Maybe we just need to do a video stream, right?
Yeah, we might have to before it's over.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll have some exclusive content just on there.
Sure.
So
That'd be fun.
we really do appreciate all of our listeners. Sam and I would be talking about this anyway, but it sure makes it much more fun that we have people who are listening and joining in the conversation with us.
Definitely.
So follow us on all the socials and recommend us to your friends and give us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, Tai'Shar Manetheren.